Hey everyone, I'm Mackenzie.
And I'm Haley. We are two sisters and best friends, and we're the hosts of Real Talk About Feminism, a podcast for female empowerment.
Each week, we release a new episode. We talk about everything from periods to current events,
and different types of feminism to worst first dates.
Subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, and tune in each week.
Thanks for listening.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are so excited for this episode because we have a lot to catch you guys up on. We feel like a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Haley, let's start with your birthday.
Yes. So my voice is still recovering. By the time this drops, my birthday will have been 2 weeks ago. So hopefully my voice is fine by then. It's getting a lot better, actually.
It is.
Like even from last night when we recorded. So, but yeah, so for my birthday, my best friend came up, and her birthday is 2 days after mine, so I'm older than her.
By 2 days.
Yes. And so we've always celebrated our birthdays together since 6th grade. And so this year we decided to go skydiving.
That was so cool.
It was literally insane.
I was so surprised too because literally it was like, so your birthday, you guys went on a Saturday before your birthday, and then it was like Wednesday or Thursday that you guys decided to go.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about it since we turned 18, about going on our 18th birthday. And then probably a month before she came out, we were like, yeah, we should go skydiving. And then we just forgot about it. And then we were like, no, like we need to book it. Let's do it. So yeah, it was like a few days before that we decided to do it.
Oh my gosh. So you told me too, like when you're free falling, it literally doesn't feel like anything. Like I can't comprehend that.
You honestly just have to do it. Like there's no way to describe it. My aunt, she was in town and she's been skydiving. So when I was talking about it, she was like, yep, I know exactly what you mean. Because you just have to experience it. But it was just crazy because there was no time to even think like, I don't want to do this anymore, like because everyone just went one after the other. And I saw my best friend jump out, and you kind of just like fall out. But yeah, I saw her jump out, and then we went like right after. And yeah, it doesn't feel like you're falling. Like when you have a dream that you're falling and you get that pit in your stomach, yeah, you'd think that's what it would feel like, but it didn't feel like that. I was so shocked when we were actually free falling because I was like, I don't feel like I'm falling. Like I feel the wind in my hair, but it just looks like we're getting closer to the ground. And then when he pulled the parachute, then we weren't like horizontal to the ground anymore. We were like vertical, and then we were falling. So then I could feel more like the wind in my hair and everything like that because we were kind of gliding. But yeah, it was so crazy. It was awesome.
I need to go.
Yeah.
But like I'm getting anxious just thinking about it, but it is something I've always wanted to do. And it makes me feel better that like you can't feel anything, but you said like you can feel like everything at the same time. You know, like it feels like so surreal.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I actually went and saw Eternals a few days ago, and there's like an aerial shot, like in most movies, you know, they'll do like an aerial shot of the city or like different things like that. And I thought, like, while I was watching the aerial shot, I was like, oh, I've seen the world from that perspective. Like,
so cool though.
It was really cool. And it was crazy because we were at one point, I looked down and the freeway was underneath us, or the highway or whatever. But we were so high up, and then like they just somehow steered us right to where we needed to land. Like they're obviously
trippy.
But yeah, I was like, we're right above cars and everything like that. So
wow. Well, you can say that you've gone skydiving.
Yes, it does feel pretty cool. Like me and my best friend, we both felt very cool after that, because then like we went our separate ways, and like she had to do homework, hang out with her sisters, and then I was hanging out with the family, and then we went clubbing in the night. So like we went skydiving in the morning, clubbing in the night, and like the whole weekend was just like such a party.
Yeah, and then the next day we went to Estes Park. Haley vlogged about her skydiving trip, so definitely go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have pictures too. I was gonna say, like, we're waiting for the pictures, but you have them.
Yeah, I posted. So I mean, I could post some on the story.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so you guys went to the club, and then literally the next day, we went to Estes Park.
In Colorado.
Yeah, our aunt was in town. Our sister's boyfriend came too. Jared came because his schedule's different now. So that was fun.
It was really fun. We were there for a while, actually. But it was so fun. This is reminding me. So I really wanted to go to a crystal shop because I haven't been in forever. And the last time I had an opportunity to go, it just like wasn't open and I didn't want to wait 2 hours for it to open. So we were just walking around trying to find the crystal shops, but they were closed by the time we found them in Estes. And so we're going shopping today, me and Ken. So let's go to a crystal shop.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We can go to the one Sadie and I went to.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun weekend. We like spent the weekend together as a family.
Yeah, that was really fun. I feel like we needed that too.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always nice being in the mountains.
It is. Estes is so pretty. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before too, but Jared and I went in February earlier this year, and it was like, seriously, I have a screenshot. It was negative 11 degrees every single night.
Gosh.
And there was one time we were out when it was getting dark, and like it was so cold. I literally, I can't describe it, but like it was so cold. But it was fun to come back when there wasn't snow.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, so different.
I love Estes.
It's so pretty. I've only been to Estes in the summer or fall. I've never actually been in the winter, so I don't know what that's like.
Oh, it was so pretty. And we went snowshoeing in Rocky Mountain. Bucket list item.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you guys were talking about that when we were up there, how it was so fun, and I want to go now.
It was so fun. And like, it was like, that was the first trip that we'd really taken ourselves. You know, like we'd like gone on our honeymoon, but like we like planned it, paid for everything. So I don't know, kind of made it more fun.
Yeah, because I went along on your St. George trip, so
you did. But that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and last night too, we went to a volleyball game at Metro, which was fun, and then we went to Maggiano's randomly.
Yeah, that Maggiano's. I don't know if any of you guys have been. I don't know if it's a Colorado thing. I
don't know.
But it's a really nice restaurant, like very nice.
Yeah, and we were trying to figure out where to eat, and we were like, we went from like fast food to fast casual to like Maggiano's somehow.
Yeah, somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it was really nice, and we all have leftovers, so I'm excited to eat because I haven't eaten today.
I haven't either.
So
we've been going.
Yes.
And we're gonna go shopping later, and we're going to this place in Denver called Babe's Tea Room. So we have a busy day.
Yeah, we do. It'll be fun though. I'm just really excited. Like, I just want to edit and get all this done so that we can go shopping.
I know.
So yeah, that's what's been going on.
Yeah.
Let's get into the feminist highlight before we dive into the content.
All right. So today's feminist highlight is Mary Lou Retton. I'm sure you've heard of her. Her name was very familiar to me, but I didn't like know exactly what she achieved.
I feel bad because you saying I'm sure you've heard of her. I've not heard of her.
You're sitting there like eyes lips eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. She is a retired Olympic gymnast.
Okay.
So she competed in the 1984 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles, and that was actually the only Olympics that she ever competed in. She retired shortly after them. 5 weeks before the games, she had knee surgery. And so it was kind of up in the air whether or not she was going to be able to compete. She ended up scoring perfect tens in the floor and the vault.
Oh my gosh.
Sports. What is it called? Events.
Sports.
She became the first American to win an individual all-around gold medal as well in gymnastics, in women's gymnastics. She brought a total of 5 medals home, which was more than what any other athlete took home at the LA Games.
Wow.
It's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So, she was also the first gymnast to be inducted into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame in 1985, so literally like right after the games. And now she's a motivational speaker. She will occasionally provide commentary on like televised gymnastics, and she also has 4 daughters, and she lives in Houston, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that like these people live like such normal lives.
I know.
Afterwards. Like,
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, like that's crazy. That's so good. I think, honestly, gymnasts I feel like they're some of the strongest athletes because I feel like so many of them push through a lot of physical injuries. Like at the Olympics, like that one girl who was like doing the vault and it was like old. She
Yeah,
broke her ankle
I
or
know
something.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and she still finished. Like I feel like gymnasts are just they have like a different kind of mental toughness and
They
strength.
do. And something interesting I'll point out is in the source that I got her information from, we'll put it in the source notes. She apparently was like she like broke like the what's the
Record.
word? No, like the image, the typical image
Oh,
for
okay.
gymnasts because she was like built more muscular. Like the
Oh.
book defined it as like muscular and compact, whereas like the typical gymnast image is like petite and graceful, which I don't really
Um,
like. Simone
yeah,
Biles,
she's
she's
muscular.
very
They're all
muscular, but
muscular.
like it was just interesting like how like the beauty standard for gymnasts was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Shout out to our aunt. We found her in the book that she gave us.
Yeah.
So that was a very interesting book, and we'll do some more feminist highlights from that book.
Thank you, Aunt Jennifer.
Yes. Okay, so today we are talking about a really important topic. This is current events, and it's something that I think a lot of us have kind of felt very concerned about and very kind of almost helpless is like the word to
Yeah.
describe it. Like, how do we help? And it is the whole thing with Afghanistan right now and the Taliban being um, in leadership, or I mean, they're
In
dictators. Yeah,
control.
in
Yeah.
control. But we want to focus especially on women's rights under the Taliban law. Taliban.
Taliban.
Under the Taliban law because obviously, like as we've seen in history, but we're going to talk about it a lot more. The Taliban really targets women, and there's a direct war on women's rights under these Taliban ruled countries. And so we wanted to talk about that because it's very important. And helpless really is the right word to describe it. Like seeing those videos of planes taking off and people literally hanging onto the planes and falling to their
Yeah.
deaths. Like the state of the country, is it a country?
Hmm.
The state of the country is so it's just in shambles, and it's so sad that that is what's going on. And so watching those videos, so many of us have felt helpless, and what can we do? So we're going to talk about it today.
You want to start with the story?
Yes. So while we were doing research, we came across this article, and this article was written November 17th of 2001. It's the part of the US Department of State website. Um, but yes, so this was written in 2001. So think about it in this context. Um, Afghanistan or the Taliban took over Kabul in 1996.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but
Yeah,
just the
we'll do
context, this
background.
is 2001. So, the title is The Taliban's War Against Women. The day was much like any other. For the young Afghan mother, the only difference was that her child was feverish and it had been for some time and needed to see a doctor. But simple tasks in Taliban controlled Afghanistan today are not that easy. The mother was alone and the doctor was across town. She had no male relative to escort her. To ask another man to do so would be to risk severe punishment. To go on her own meant that she would risk flogging. Because she loved her child, she had no choice. Donning the tent like burqa as Taliban law required, she set out cradling her child in her arms. She shouldn't have. As they approached the market, she was spotted by a teenage Taliban guard who tried to stop her. Intent on saving her child, the mother ignored him, hoping that he would ignore her. He didn't. Instead, he raised his weapon and shot her repeatedly. Both mother and child fell to the ground. They survived because bystanders in the market intervened to save them. The young Taliban guard was unrepentant, fully supported by the regime. The woman should not have been out alone. This mother was just another casualty in the Taliban war on Afghanistan women, a war that began 5 years ago when the Taliban seized control of Kabul. So that's the end of the story.
I can't even imagine living in a world where that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, in all of our research, I was reading an article that a lot of Afghanistan women were saying that in the Taliban's eyes, they're just objects. Like they're not regarded as humans whatsoever. And so the
Right.
Taliban, like, don't care that there is a war on women's rights over there. For some background, um, so this has been such a prevalent issue in US history and US news literally since like we were born.
Right.
So, as Haley mentioned, in 1996 is when the Taliban took control over Afghanistan. And then I believe it was October of 2001, like after the 9/11 attacks, is when the US entered Afghanistan. And we also highlighted Malala Yousafzai, who was like instrumental in this whole event
Fight for women's rights. Yeah.
So go back a few episodes and listen to the highlight about her. And Haley said she just got married recently too.
Yes,
so we're
I
so happy
saw
for her.
like 2 days ago that she got married, and she's just done so much in her life. So congratulations to her. Obviously, she doesn't listen.
She probably won't listen,
but she looked absolutely gorgeous in her wedding pictures, and she looked very happy. Yes,
good. So, the U.S., as of this year, so 2021, they withdrew all military from Afghanistan, August 30th of 2021. Shortly after that, the Taliban waited no minute to do this. They seized control of Kabul, which is the capital of Afghanistan, as well as several other cities in the country. So they're controlling the country right now. Mm-hmm. And just like in 1996 to 2001, there are so many concerns about civil rights, basic human rights. Literally, the economy is collapsing. Poverty is prevalent everywhere. And people are just being disregarded, especially women.
And people are scared for their lives.
Yeah, there's a whole mental health epidemic as well. And I also read an article, I'll find it and put in the source notes, but there was an article that said like Afghan women are 9 times more likely to have PTSD and trauma than men in Afghanistan. And I'm like, well, that makes sense because literally they have no rights and they're treated like nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in August of 2021, that's where we were seeing those videos of people when the troops, like the last planes of the troops, the US troops were leaving, people were clinging on and passing their children up to the planes, just hoping. Like, I can't imagine, especially like as a mother, to pass your child up to a random soldier because they know that they will have a better life there, wherever they're going to end up, than in Afghanistan. Yeah. And that's absolutely heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine that. And so that's where we were seeing those videos, and that's really why we wanted to do this episode. So some of the rules, when the Taliban was in control in 1996 to 2001, some of the rules that they put on women, they were absolutely ridiculous. So there was a report in 2001 from the U.S. Department of State, and this is the rules that the Taliban had put on women. So women had to wear head coverings or coverings from head to toe. Women were not allowed to work except in very limited circumstances. Women were barred from attending schools. Women's health care was restricted. Women were not allowed to leave their homes unless they were accompanied by male relatives. Women could only use special buses and were only allowed to take taxis with male relatives. Women could not be on the street with men who were not related to them. The windows of houses had to be painted over to stop outsiders from seeing women in their homes. And if they broke the rules, then women were punished. Some of the methods that they used were beating, death by stoning. They were also subjected to rape, abduction, and forced marriage. This was all by the Taliban. And so the fact that the Taliban thinks that they're like leading almost like a democracy, this is a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely horrific to think that if you leave your house without a man, then you could be subjected to death by stoning. That is like ancient times.
Yeah.
That's such a, like, I just don't even know.
I know. I can't, it's really hard to like imagine living like that because we have so many freedoms in this country, and like I can't imagine that.
Right. And so like those were the rules that in 2001 that women were being subjected to. And the Taliban, when they took control of the country recently, again, the Taliban said that this time that they would protect women's rights, But there have already been reports that in the regions that the Taliban have captured, that some women have already had the old rules placed on them, such as not being able to go to school, and they are not able to leave without a male escort. And so the Taliban, said, we're going to protect women's rights and it's going to be different this time. But already they can't go to school and they can't leave without a man with them, a man that's related to them. So I don't know what kind of...
They were never going to do that.
No.
They were never going to.
No. And it's just absolutely terrible that in 2021, women are still having to fight for their rights. And in this article, there was a really cool picture. I texted it to you. I don't know if you saw it, but we're going to post it definitely on the Instagram, because these women were holding signs that they had printed out on paper, and they had like in their language, and then they translated it in English, and they were just protesting, and they had head coverings on and everything like that. But just the fact that they still have to fight for their basic rights, the right to go to school, the right to leave their home.
Right.
It's so sad.
Yeah, and in 1996, like, there were protests, but nothing like today.
Right.
And so, like, they're realizing, like, no, we're humans, like,
Right.
we shouldn't have to live like this.
Right.
So I think it's great that they are protesting, but, like, they're so brave for risking literally their lives.
Yeah.
Their families' lives to protest for basic rights.
Especially because it's so unpredictable with the Taliban in rule that they might be leaving their homes to go protest, and they might not ever come back. They might be kidnapped and raped repeatedly by Taliban leaders, and like that's the reality they're living. And I think it's also so different now because, like you said, like they have more of a realization now that, like, no, this is not okay, and we're human, and we deserve rights. But also, I think social media plays a big part into that, because with social media, the entire world is connected.
Right.
And so I'm sure that it's devastating to now for them to see history repeating itself. And we're all connected on social media, and they're seeing the rest of us, we have all of these rights and we have all of these different things. And I'm sure that they can't leave the country. It's hard. And so I'm sure that just plays so much of a bigger role into it, of like, they want their rights back and they're going to fight for it, because with social media and everything, the world is connected, and the world is more connected. And so we can see more what is going on, and they can see that, no, this is not normal. No. And obviously they know that because they're not dumb, but like, to know this isn't what's going on in the majority of the world. Like, they're being run by a dictatorship, and it's not okay, and they're getting their rights taken away. And so they're going to fight even more now.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that when you said the signs were translated in like their language to English.
Yeah.
Because they know that that's going to bring more awareness.
Yeah.
And like, we're better able to understand how they're living and how we can help them.
Right.
So even just like educating yourself, sharing stories about it, talking about it, keeping the stories alive so that people are aware of it and can help is very important.
Right. It's so important. And we really can do that through social media, especially. Like, we can do so much and spread so much awareness just by sharing people's stories. And it's also a big deal for them to be going out and protesting or sharing their stories on social media and trying to bring awareness. Like, that's a big deal. And so just like we've talked about in the past, like when we had Ophelia come on and share her story, and when we've shared stories of sexual assault, like when anyone shares their story, we need to respect them and honor them by spreading awareness about it, because it's a big deal to come out, and they're risking their lives by protesting for the greater good and protesting for their rights. And so the biggest thing that I think we can do is just sharing their stories.
I agree. There are ways that we can help. Like Haley mentioned, like, I feel so helpless too, because it's hard. Like, we can't go over there as much as we want to. We can't bring all of them back as much as we want to. I would love to do that. But there are a lot of organizations that are literally there helping Afghan women, children, communities. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Women for Afghan Women. And they have been working for over 20 years to support the Afghan women and their children. There are several ways that we can help. They have an Amazon list of items that you can purchase and donate. They have like bedding, cleaning supplies, masks, which like we have to think about now with COVID. Flashlights, toiletries, clothes, anything you could think of. They also have classes for immigrants and for refugees. They have like literacy and education classes. They have citizenship classes, empowerment classes, just like language classes, how to like assimilate
And
into
how to
US
educate
culture.
them because the Taliban is taking away their rights to education.
Right.
And I think so reading on their websites, because it is so dangerous, they had to flee, like their staff and people working on the ground in Afghanistan. They've been over there for over 20 years to help the Afghan women and children and families, and because of the state of the country and with the Taliban running rampant, they had to pull out and seek refuge for their own safety, but they're still working and doing everything that they can to try and get as many people out as possible. And so we both donated, just because, and like every little bit helps. I'm sure it's extremely expensive to try and get people out of the country. And so if you're able to, definitely donate to them because they're doing so much. And even though it's not safe to be over there right now, they're still working and trying to pull women and children and families out of there for their own safety and give them lives.
Yeah, a chance.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's Women for Afghan Women. Go donate. Like Haley said, every little bit helps. I feel good that we donated. The other organization is Feminist Majority Foundation. It's very similar. You can donate on their website, but they have a campaign that's been supporting Afghan women since 1996. They also have education courses. They have a scholarship program for Afghan women as well. They have direct assistance, like you can donate items, money that will directly go to immigrants and refugees and the Afghan women and children over there.
And there's so many other organizations and different causes. We just wanted to highlight these two because we felt, connected to them. And yeah, there is so much that we can do to help. It's just devastating to see the state of the country right now and to see that these people are just being dehumanized and getting all of their rights taken away. But if we can do every little bit that we can to help, then, anything helps really. And maybe we can help bring this to an end. So that is why we thought it was really important to highlight. This is kind of a shorter episode, but we wanted to end on a positive note of how we can help so that we don't all feel so helpless and we can, try and give a little bit. And even just, I know that there's probably organizations out there who, if you like sewing things, like sewing blankets or clothing or menstrual products, different things like that. Like there's so many organizations already that exist. And I'm sure that a lot of energy and funds and materials are going towards helping the Afghan women right now too. So, just anything, like if you don't have money to donate, give away your talents and your time. There's one organization that we've donated or we've volunteered at in Denver where it's like assembling medical kits.
Project Cure in Denver.
Cure, yes.
Yeah, it's like expired medical products, but like it's like gauze. Like how does gauze expire? But like legally, like in the US, like we can't use them. But warehouses like that where they assemble things like that,
and also just like people donate medications, like over the counter stuff that's not necessarily expired,
right?
And yeah, you can donate your time and put together those kits. If there's so much that you can do.
Because like things we would never think of that they would need, like period products, and like they're expensive in the US, there's the pink tax, whatever, but like we're very fortunate to have them,
right?
So anything that you have,
so any time, any talents, any funds that you have, you can donate and help the Afghan women, and hopefully that we can see an end to this.
We sure hope so. Yeah. Well, please share this episode. We want to bring awareness to the issue going on over there. And if you live in the US, you're very familiar with it, and it's been going on for most of our lives. So please share this, bring awareness, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Talk to everyone next week.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, and please rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening right now.
And go follow us on Instagram. You can find us at Real Talk About Feminism, and you can find us on all of our other platforms if you click the link in our Instagram bio. Thank you guys so much for listening to Real Talk About Feminism.